Welcome to the Fight Show on Sports Tonight Live with me, Dom McGuinness. With me this evening is Deputy Editor of Fighting Fit magazine, Danny Flexen, and we're delighted to be joined in the studio by Nathan Weise, light middleweight prospect and all-round tremendous chap. He's with us, and you can follow us on @Twitter, STL Fight Show, via Skype, Sports Tonight Live. Get involved. This is your home for all things boxing and MMA. On the agenda tonight, well, we're going to have a review of all the events of last week, of course, plenty of action to talk about, and what's coming up, which is something of a monumental fight week with so many domestic fighters. And of course, there's one or two other fights that we can mention that maybe have attracted a little bit of attention and headlines. But Martin Murray is in Germany ahead of his WBA middleweight title fight against home favourite Felix Sturm. John Murray is, of course, gearing up for his equally daunting battle with Brandon Rios at the Madison Square Garden, that for the WBA lightweight championship. And then a warm-up for Cotto Margarito too. Not that anyone's heard a great deal about that fight. We're also going to have a look at the Prince Aaron Brian Rose fight. We're going to be hearing it for the main boys involved in that as well a little bit later on. That for the British light middleweight title. And not forgetting Derek Chisora's attempt at ripping the EBU heavyweight belt off Finland's Robert Helenius in Helsinki. Along with all that, we're going to get to grips with Britain's biggest MMA company, BAMMA. So plenty to get involved with, as ever. Delighted to say hello again to Danny Flexen. Now, Danny, an interesting week for you. What have you been up to?
Oh, it's been a hectic week. We go to press with our last issue before Christmas on Monday. And just in the last 7 days, I've been to Wales to see Nathan Cleverley at his new gym, which is a far cry from the old shed, virtually, that he used to train in. I've been to see Billy Joe Saunders this week at the TKO. Working hard, making the transition or continuing the transition from amateur to pro, which we're going to have in the magazine. Spoken to Robert Guerrero, the Ghost, rising American star who wants to fight Floyd Mayweather in May, as everyone does. And Antonio Tarver I spoke to last night, who's rejected a fight with Tyson Fury, but is desperate to win a world heavyweight title, apparently, at 42 and a former light heavyweight.
Well, why not? I'm also delighted to say and welcome Nathan Weise. Nice to see you. I know you've got a big fight coming up on December the 14th. Steve O'Meara, feeling fit, feeling confident. It's a title as well. Tell us a bit.
Yeah, this is my opportunity, to show what I can do on the big stage. I've had a slow career, I'd say, due to injuries, but this is my shot, and this is my chance. I'm going to take it with both hands. Now we're going to talk a bit more about you, your career, the Steve O'Meara fight, everything that's going on with you just a little bit later on. But we are going to get straight into the action because we mentioned before the Prince Aaron fight. Brian Rose, two Manchester-based fighters, obviously Prince Aaron, a local boy, Brian Rose from Blackpool, and I think we can welcome to the Fight Show right here on Sports Night Live. Well, one camp firmly in place now in Manchester. It is Bobby Rimmer, the trainer extraordinaire, alongside his fighter there, Brian Rose. Are you with us, gentlemen?
Yes.
Hi, mate.
Hi, mate. You okay?
Now, this is such a fantastic battle domestically with two lads that, many calling it a 50-50. I mean, Brian, you're obviously in good shape. You obviously fancy this one. Where's this fight going to be won as far as you're concerned? He's such a tall kid, isn't he, Prince Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I've been sparring with kids that are 6'3", 6'4" for the last 10 weeks. I've been working on my tactics for the last 10 weeks because, as you know, I'm tall for the weight myself. I'm used to boxing people that are smaller than me, so I've had to change things a little bit. But 10 weeks of hard work has changed that all around. I can't even imagine punching down now. So they say it's easier to punch up, and I'll prove that on Saturday night.
It's going to be a big one for the gym, Bobby, isn't it? This would be your first big one, wouldn't it? The British title as well. And
yeah,
what would that mean for you?
It's the first big one when I'm the sole trainer. I mean, I've been in big fights before when I worked with Billy, when I was the assistant at the Phoenix camp. I was involved in 16 world title fights and numerous British title fights and numerous European title fights. So, I've been on the big stage before, but this is the first time that I am the sole trainer myself, and it's the first time I've brought Brian through from the beginning. So he's kind of an homegrown lad in our gym, Brian. And he's, even though he's only young, he's still like the old man of the gym at the minute. All the other lads look up to him and stuff. And so yeah, you're right. It is my first shot at a British title fight as the head coach.
Brian, let me ask you, I saw some quotes from Aaron earlier today where he said you guys have sparred in the past. And if you're expecting him to be the same fighter as he was then, you've got another think coming. Does that mean you gave him a hiding?
Well, you just answered the question. I don't need to answer that. I've not commented on sparring once, and I'm still not going to comment on the sparring because the interviews he's had and the quotes he has made has kind of proved what happened in sparring. I don't have to say any more.
What's it going to mean to you, Brian, if you are to rip the belt off Prince Aaron, that you'll be the first Blackpool boxer to win a British title for half a century, I believe?
Well, it'll be the first one since Brian London, so it's a massive achievement for the town and a massive achievement for the lads that are coming through in Blackpool, like Matty Askin, Adam Little, Scotty Cardle, who's just turning pro. It's a massive thing for them because hopefully one day we can sell out a venue in Blackpool, and that's what we're looking to do. Maybe Bloomfield Road, that'd be brilliant.
I mean, there's a lot of talk about Aaron at the moment, a lot from his trainer and from the press as well. Do you think he's been flattered to a degree by the win over Sam Webb?
No, I don't. I think he thoroughly deserves being the British champion. He won prize fighter, got the opportunity at Sam Webb and grabbed it with both hands. I think he's not overrated. He's a good fighter, deserves to be in the position that he's in. And I just know I've got the tools to beat him on Saturday.
I just want to wish you all the best on your fight with Prince Aaron. Have a good one. I'm Nathan Weise speaking.
Hi, mate.
Hi,
okay?
Nathan. You okay,
Yeah.
mate?
I wish you all the best. I've seen you fight. You're a good fighter, and I just want to wish you all the best.
Thanks, mate. And you.
Thanks very much,
Brilliant.
Nathan. Same to you, mate.
Brilliant.
Maybe something down the line with that as well with yourself, Nathan. So I'm sure you are. You're going to look at this one keenly.
Let me get through this fight first, and then
You know what I mean, Nathan? They're always trying to put matches.
We all think we're matchmakers, Bobby.
Hey, well, Brian, it's interesting, obviously, meeting Nathan in the flesh. You know, he's a 6-footer as well, another big lad as well. So again, you know, I could see a match down the line there. I should get a cut for this. There's something going on.
I don't know what they're feeding these kids on now. Everybody that walks in my gym's over 6 foot tall. I don't know what's happening with them.
Now, just Bobby, a word about yourself and Bob Shannon. Plenty of mutual respect there between the two Manchester trainers. Whatever happens on the night, you know, yourself and Bob, you go back a long way.
Yeah, you know, I'll be honest. You know, come the way. You know, I've been Bob Shannon's pal for 30 years. You know, our sons grew up together, and I've trained at Bob's gym. You know, when Bob opened his gym at Openshaw Lads Club, it was just around the corner from where I lived in Openshaw Village, and I stupidly, like we do, thought I had one left in me. So, you know, I started doing a bit of training at Bob's. It was a few years ago, and then it never worked out. So, you know, I decided that it was just a fad, and I left. But, you know, Bob's a great trainer. He's done a lot of good things for Manchester, and you know, I hope to emulate some of the successes that Bob's had. You know, and we are great friends. But, you know, it's businesses, and come the way in tomorrow, you know, I'll have a little chat with Bob, and then it'll always, you know, the friendships will be put aside, and the business will take place, and then afterwards, you know, the friendships will take place again. You know, that's just the way it is. You know, when you're local fight trainers and you've got local kids that are the same weight, the inevitable is that you're going to all be, you know, you're going to be looking across the ring at each other at some point. I'm just glad we're only looking across the ring at each other. We're not actually in the ring facing each other.
I've seen him in the ring with his lads as well, and he's still a nutter. He can't wait to tear it up with them.
Yeah, it's you know, the nearest I get now is just wearing the body belt with Brian and stuff like that, you know, and I'm just thankful that I'm not around at Brian's time and I'm at Brian's weight, you know.
Just a word before you go, because it's a big weekend for the Northwest. You know, obviously you guys involved, but you know, John Murray in action, Martin Murray in action as well. I mean, if you could give a prediction of those two fights, how do you see them going?
Well, to be honest, you know, John Murray's gone over there and he's got a big ask, and that's without being disrespectful to John Murray. John Murray's, you know, he grew up where I grew up. You know, I grew up in Hardwick and John did. And it's a massive big ask, but John Murray, you know, fit and strong on his day. You know, I've seen today that Brandon Rios shook his hand in the hotel lobby and didn't know who he was. So, you know, maybe Brandon Rios has overlooked John Murray, do you know? And you never know, it's a strange thing. And Brandon Rios is talking about bigger fights along the line. Who knows? You know, John will be on his game, and Joe Gallagher's a good coach, a great coach, and he'll have John right. So, you know, there might be an upset there. And as far as the Sturm fight goes, I see it going one or two ways. But we're seeing Sturm not box fantastic against Macklin, and you know, everyone thought Macklin got the decision. So, you know, Martin Murray might have got Sturm at the right time. Sturm might be just getting ready to bow out. But on the other hand, Sturm might be firing all cylinders again because of the performance with Matthew Macklin. So it's a really intriguing weekend of fights, isn't it, in boxing for us here in the Northwest, and we're very lucky that we've got these chances to showcase our fighters, you know.
Well, listen, fellas, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the Fight Show right here on Sports Night Live. Best of luck, Brian. Best of luck, Bobby. And whatever happens on the night, obviously, you're all going to be mates afterwards anyway. So it is a great advert for boxing. But thanks again. Thanks again for everything.
Thanks a lot. See you, Nathan.
Take care. Take all the best, champ.
There you are. They're in fine fettle, obviously, ahead of what is a cracker, isn't it? I mean, it's a real pick 'em kind of fight, isn't it? You can look at the styles, you can look at the careers. They've had the setbacks. Max Maxwell for Brian Rose, but also Prince Aaron had a slowish start, didn't he, to his professional career?
Obviously, there was the issue with Brian Rose and Gilbert Eastman also, which kind of set him back a little bit, which would have affected anyone, I think. Prince Aaron was chucked in really hard, really young, with a lot of top guys, you know, Anthony Small being one of them, John Duddy over in Ireland as well. No young pro should be managed like that. I think we can all agree on that. So I'm hoping he seems to have resurrected his career. He's with the right man now in Bob Shannon. So he just seems to be going from strength to strength. But I think Rose has got the technical skills to give him a really good fight.
Be interesting to hear from somebody that's actually been in with Prince Aaron recently as well. And I think we can be joined on the line now by Sam Webb. Are you with us, Sam? Oh, well, we'll hear from Sam in a little while anyway.
Just a mention of Prince Aaron's name was enough to get him to hang up.
Well, if you think back to that fight anyway, you know, Sam had his battle plan 5'8" against the 6'3" Prince Aaron, you know, which
he
is
boxed
just
a brilliant
huge,
fight. Yeah, you know, I watched the fight, you know, he boxed it brilliant. He's boxing so well. But this is boxing, it only takes one shot, and, you know, he got caught, and, you know, it just went downhill from there, you know. But he can definitely come back from it. You know, he's a good fighter, Sam. He can definitely come back.
How would you tackle someone like Sam? Because again, as we alluded to there before, you're a big lad for the weight.
Sam, sorry, or Prince Aaron.
For Sam first, I mean, if you think of these guys, I mean, Sam, if we get him on now, because obviously he still has ambitions, but if you think of these guys and the smaller guy, I mean, you'd have the same problems that I suppose Prince Aaron had to work out.
Yeah, well, I'm more of a slicker fighter than Prince Aaron, so it will be a total different fight. But you know, Sam is pretty fast, so you got to keep him behind the jab, you know, and do pretty much the same as Prince Aaron done. You know, he boxed the perfect fight. He took his time. He didn't rush his work, and picked his shots beautifully. And yeah. But
have you sparred Sam?
I've sparred Sam. Yeah, I've sparred him a few times, and he's a brilliant fighter. You know, he's very strong. He's changed his style over the years. He used to be more of a pressure fighter, but Al Smith's got him boxing. And he does it very well, you know, he's a beautiful boxer. And yeah, it'd be good to see him back in the ring, definitely.
More of this in a minute. And of course, we are going to talk a little bit more again about John Murray and Brandon Rios. But yeah, we'll get into all the fights, all the weekend ahead, a bit more of Prince Aaron, Brian Rose, but there's so much going on. And Cotto Margarito. Join us right here on Sports Tonight Live. Welcome to the Fight Show on Sports Tonight Live with me, Dom McGuinness. I'm joined by Danny Flexen and also Nathan Weise, who's talking about his own ambitions in the fight game. Light middleweight, you've got the fight with Steve O'Meara coming up that everyone's looking forward to. That York Hall, a place that's... are you all right there? Is the fight still on?
Sorry. Yeah, well, I hope the fight's still on, yeah.
The foot's not going to be a problem?
No, the foot...
It's just the mere mention of his opponent's name. He's kicking tables, he's going to throw the glass over in a minute.
Yeah, well, you know, 2 weeks' time, I'm ready now, you know. I want to get it on now. I've been training hard, good sparring, good preparation for the fight, and I will be the new Southern Area champion.
That's a big deal. Now, this another big deal that we touched upon before with the guys, obviously with Bobby Rimmer and Brian Rose, the John Murray, Brandon Rios opportunity that John Murray has. Now, we've actually sent our cameras to catch up with John and just see exactly how he's shaping up, obviously, ahead of the big one.
Just tell us how tough this is going to be, because you are going in there as the underdog.
Yeah, massive underdog. Brandon Rios undefeated, is a really hot champion. But you know, we've watched him on tape and we fancy our chances. It's a type of fight that's going to suit my style, and yeah, we're really ultra confident. I think, you know, we lost last time out against Mitchell, but we've learned a lot of lessons from that fight, and yeah, we're ultra confident we can go and redeem ourselves and go and win a world title and bring it back and celebrate for all our friends and family.
Hey John, you right?
Hi, alright, yeah.
So it's your kit, red and the black one.
Nice.
What you wanted for a change.
Yeah.
And your black and gold, normal, what you have, just with a bit of extra trim.
Yeah, really excited. All the hard work's done now. Like I say, I'm just ready to go over there and put on the performance of my life and win this world title.
And today we're following you, just sort of dotting the I's, crossing the T's, just final preparations, get your gear, have a bit of physio.
That's it, yeah, just all the final little preparations, just make sure I'm tip top and tick all the boxes, and now I'm just, like I say, ready to go over there and do the business.
What would it mean to you to come back a world champion?
Yeah, it means everything. It's something I've dreamed of since I first put on gloves when I was younger, and you know, it's finally here upon me now. If you'd have said to me when I turned pro in 2003, you're going to be fighting for the world title, and you know, in Madison Square Garden, I would have thought you was lying. But you know, this has been my dream my whole career, and it's finally here now, and it's a chance for me to go and fulfil my potential and win this world title.
And it is finally here. It's one I can't wait for. We've got Sean Brown, boxing writer, on the Skype wall as well to cast his eye over what will be an incredible weekend at the Madison Square Garden. But John Murray, on the back of the Mitchell defeat, is this a chance, firstly, he deserves, and secondly, one he can take?
I think, sorry, yeah.
Well, we're with you.
Yeah, okay. I was just going to say that, I mean, after the Mitchell fight, I don't think anyone was expecting him to fight Rios, but I know that the fight was originally lined up for Kevin Mitchell. So he's got this chance anyway, and he's going to take it with both hands. I just think, though, on the back of the Mitchell fight, and you see who Rios has fought in his last two fights, for me, the kind of maths don't really add up. And if I'm being quite frank, although I'd love to see John Murray win, I can only see the fight lasting about 5-6 rounds, to be honest.
How much do you think the Kevin Mitchell fight has taken out of Murray, not just physically, but mentally as well, after going unbeaten for so long?
I think due to the fact that he's been beaten by his nearest rival at that time, that will have obviously affected him. But this is a completely different fight venue. It's unique in its own way. He doesn't have anything to lose at all, so he should be able just to go in there with no fear and do his own thing. I just think Rios, albeit not that hard to hit, I just think he's such a strong physical fighter that whatever Murray does to him, I think Rios will be able to equalise and eventually take over the fight. I hope that I am wrong, but I just can't see it happening.
Just want, Nathan, your opinion on this, and Sean obviously stay with us, but in terms of what we were hearing about potentially Brandon Rios not even recognising John Murray, from a fighter's point of view, what would that do to you? You know, if you're in John's position and it would seem that he might have been underestimated.
Listen, the guy's a professional, you know, he's a world champion. He's not underestimating John Murray. You know, he knows John Murray's going to come, he's going to give it, he's going to bring his A game. So, but as a fighter, you know, he must feel, you know, disheartened. But I would like to see John Murray go out there and win the fight so we can defend the belt against my good friend Kevin Mitchell. You know, that'd be brilliant. But it should be a brilliant fight, you know, and I can't wait for the fight to happen.
It's some lively division, isn't it? The lightweight division. I mean, forget about Brandon Rios, but domestically, with everything going on.
Well, it's interesting that Nathan mentioned Kevin Mitchell. I read this morning that he's just been named the #1 contender for the WBO, whose belt is obviously held by Ricky Burns, which is a big fight. They're both of the same promoter, shouldn't be too hard to take. I mean, it'd be interesting to get Sean's take on that potential fight as well.
Yeah, Sean?
Yeah, well, I think from what I've heard up here anyway in Scotland is that fight is going to happen. I think Burns is going to be back out in March, April to make a defence then, and there's some talk of Mitchell fighting on the same night on a separate card. But I think that fight's being prepared for certainly June, July. But if Murray wins on Saturday night, it just changes the whole picture. But Burns Mitchell has been a fight that's been spoke about for a few years, and it is an easy fight to make. I do think it'll happen, and I don't think that it's as straightforward a fight as a lot of people seem to be making out for Kevin Mitchell.
There's another name to throw in the mix at some point as well, who did the business north of the border, Anthony Crolla, with his defeat of Willie Lerman last time out. But just interesting fights all over the place, really, I think, in the lightweight division. But if we could just move on, and again, Sean, your opinion on the fight that has probably got a few headlines, both sides of the pond, certainly on the other side of the pond. I mean, is the fight on? Where's it taking place? How's the eye socket of Margarito? We've had hand wraps, we've had the first fight, all the analysis, all the breakdown of it. Cotto Margarito 2 is finally with us again. What's going to happen?
No pressure, Sean.
At the moment, I am tipping Cotto to win on points, but I'm not exactly off the fence. There's just so many factors in this fight. You wonder if Cotto is mentally scarred from the first fight. Then you wonder about Margarito's eye socket. If Cotto is going to attack that early, is the fight going to end early? I don't think the actual manner of the fight is going to change in any way. I think you'll see Cotto box, you'll see Margarito try and hunt him down, hitting the arms, hitting basically anything that he can. At the moment, to me, it's still a 50-50 fight, but I'm slightly tipping Cotto, but not with any great conviction.
Danny, in the press we can get a bit carried away with some of the hype, can't we? But in terms of what's been said on both sides of this divide, in terms of criminal allegations, into Cotto accusing Margarito firing back about Cotto having a go at his uncle, it's nasty. It's nasty. Families have been involved as well. Cotto's family, his wife was talking on 24/7 about it. This really does have all the bitterness that really, in many ways, we don't want to see.
Well, you get less eventful storylines in some soaps. It's just crazy what's gone on, all the different aspects to it. It's amazing. You've got Cotto, like Sean was saying, from the first fight. Is he mentally scarred after winning the first 6 rounds? But it's like a pea shooter against the Terminator. The punches were just bouncing off Margarito, and he just kept strolling forward and eventually broke him down. But then Margarito's since taken an absolute pounding against Manny Pacquiao. No disgrace there, but his eye was just obliterated. He's been past fit to fight, but it was after long deliberations. How good is his eye? Will it hold up? Has Cotto made the necessary adjustments? He's dumped Emmanuel Stewart, recognised as one of the best technical coaches in the world not long before the fight. Replaced him with a good trainer in Pedro Luis Diaz. But is he up to Stewart's level? Does he know Cotto well enough? Have they had time to build that bond? So many intangibles, quite apart from the hand wraps, which is a whole other thing entirely. It's just an unmissable fight. It's an unmissable event.
Well, listen, enjoy all the boxing, Sean, and thanks very much indeed for joining us. Sean Brown, boxing writer.
Cheers, Sean.
Nathan, I want your opinion on this fight. I mean, how much are you looking forward to seeing these two guys finally get it on?
It's going to be a great fight, but I just think that Margarito, he's got the perfect style to beat Cotto. I mean, he's just a pressure fighter, so aggressive.
He's horrible, isn't he?
He's so aggressive, and I think it's just going to be a similar fight, and I think he's going to stop Cotto. I mean, Cotto, he's past it. He's past his best. A lot of people question his chin, and I personally think he's going to get stopped around 6 or 7.
Now, what's your dream venue? Is it Vegas? Is it MSG?
Vegas, yeah.
Not even Madison Square Garden.
That's good enough. Yeah, that's good.
That's good enough.
That's good enough for me.
Maybe a big football ground over here. What team do you support?
I'm an Arsenal supporter. Yeah, I'm not really big on football, but yeah.
So big fight at the Emirates.
That would be good. That
would be acceptable. That's not bad.
Well, plenty more chat to come on all of this, and of course what is going to be just a sensational week. I can't wait for all of the fights, but the domestic fight, really, I think, in terms of, I know that we spoke before about it as well, and we may well still hear from Sam Webb. We're also going to be talking as well some MMA action, because there's a huge event coming next week in Nottingham, so that's coming up later in the show. But yeah, more domestic action. We're going to cross the pond again in a bit, guys, and if you will stay with us here on the Fight Show on Sports Tonight Live, your input as well at STL Fight Show. This is Sports Tonight Live. Welcome back to the Fight Show on Sports Tonight Live with Danny Flexen, Nathan Weise as well. He's looking forward to his battle with Steve O'Meara. We're going to talk more boxing, of course, but there is a huge MMA event coming up in Nottingham next week. And if you don't know an awful lot about MMA, take a look at this.
is going to be unbelievable. And now the moment you've been waiting for. What's up? Who will win? Who will lose? Who will walk away champion? I never knew that a kid like me could take his mic around the world like a big ass thing and rock the masses. From Madrid to Calabasas, Tijuana, Mexico, the devils in Tokyo. Say they know me though, cause I be putting in work. Commit my life to reverse, but respect it cause that's my word. And I'm sure you heard about a new sound go round. She might have left my hood, but she was born in my town. You didn't know how we was new on the scene. Well, it's alright, it's alright. I know you know I see you smiling at me. Well, it's alright, it's alright. Here comes the ready or not. Here comes the boys from the south. Here comes the ready or not. How you like me now? I say we rep the south. So what you talking about? I'm not running out my mouth. I know this without a doubt. If you know these streets, then these streets know you. When it's time to handle business, then we know what to do. What to do? Me and my crew, we stay true, old school and new. Maybe we'll call with the chosen a few. We rise to the top, what you want, just in case you forgot. Rush the stage, grab my mic, show me what you got. You didn't know how we was doing the scene. Well, it's alright, it's alright. I know you know I see you smiling at me. Well, it's alright, it's alright. Here comes the ready or not. Here comes the boys from the south. Here comes the ready or not. How you like me now? I say, here comes the ready or not. Here comes the boys from the south. Here comes the ready or not. How you like me now?
It's important for the sport to continue to grow. We need these shows coming up. It just shows that it's a world-class event.
Is that all you got? I'll take your best shot. Is that all you got? I'll take your best shot. Is that all you got? I'll take your best shot. Is that all you got? I'll take your best shot. Is that all you got? I'll take your best shot. I'll take your best shot. I'll take your best shot. Is that all you got? Well, it's alright. It's alright. Your best shot. Is that all you got? Well, it's alright. It's alright. Your best shot. Is that all you got? I'll take your best shot. It's alright. Your best shot. Is that all you got? I'll take your best shot. It's alright. Your best shot. Here comes the ready or not. Here comes the boys from the south. Here comes the ready or not. How you like me now? I say, here comes the ready or not. Here comes the boys from the south. Here comes the ready or not. How you like me
Well, there you go. What do you make of that? Looks easy, doesn't it, fellas?
You got to respect those guys. I mean, they put their heart and soul on the line, you know. Not something I'd consider doing myself. But, yeah, you know, it's very similar to boxing. They train very hard, you know, and it's just a tough sport.
Danny, you obviously have an insight with being deputy editor of Fighting Fit, and the training regimes, the way these guys actually go about their business. I mean, what do you make of the sport?
It's interesting because obviously I come from more of a boxing background. You know, I'm not trying to make out I'm the second coming of Frank Bruno or anything, but I trained in a boxing gym for a few years, worked on boxing news for a long time before I moved over to Fighting Fit. My knowledge of MMA was negligible before, you know, maybe 6 months before I got the job at Fighting Fit. It was when I started to watch it. I wasn't a natural fan, I have to say. You know, some of it I found unpalatable. People on the floor getting hit numerous times, I didn't like that. But as you learn more about the sport, you learn to appreciate it more. You know, guys on the floor, it's not always easy to see what's going on, but there's a lot of technical work that goes into it, the submission game, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, so many different elements to it. You know, at boxing, you have to be brilliant at one discipline, whereas in this sport, you have to be at least very good if you're going to get to the top at several disciplines, and you can't not respect that. And their conditioning has to be superb as well, because you're exerting all that strength on the mat, as well as your striking ability up top, and you have to be durable. So there's so many different elements you have to cover as a top-level MMA fighter. So like Nathan says, you can't not respect these guys.
Well, there is a big BAMMA event, the British Association of MMA, at the LG Arena in Nottingham. Now, why not find out a little bit more about it by one of the protagonists? He's unbeaten. It's Jimmy Manu, and you're fighting the Frenchman Anthony Ray, I believe. How's it all looking, Jimmy? How are you feeling ahead of the big one?
Yeah, training's been going well. Looking forward to it.
And what's your expertise, if you like. If you're talking to a layman in terms of MMA, and obviously there's the stand-up aspect to the game, there's the grappling. I mean, what is it that you do particularly well?
Well, I'm a well-rounded fighter. I do things on the floor. I do things standing up. I do things mid-range, i.e. judo and wrestling stuff. But my favourite is obviously using my stand-up striking skills.
Jimmy, obviously you've had 10 fights now, and none of your unfortunate victims have made it out of the second round yet. Are you hoping this guy gives you some rounds, or are you quite happy to have an early night?
Pardon? Say that again?
I said, are you hoping this guy gives you a few more rounds, or are you quite happy to have another early night?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I fight to finish fights, and that's just how my fights go. Like, people don't make it out the second round. Everything I throw, everything I do in the fight is to finish the fight as soon as possible, because I don't want to be in there longer than I have to. So I finish the fight.
Jimmy.
Is somebody at the door? Jimmy, just do us a favour. Show us the belts that you have there behind you. There's lots of glittering looking belts. Or what is it that we're seeing just in the corner there?
Oh, that's my some of my title defences. From the Cage Rage show that I've recently left. I won the belt, and I had five title defences, and I defended the title 5 times.
You're feeling now that you're approaching the peak of your career? I mean, what are the ambitions for you now at this stage?
No, I don't think I'm nowhere near the peak of my career. BAMMA's the next stage in my career, and I'll be facing more international opposition and everything else. So I don't think I'm nowhere near the peak. I want to be the best fighter in the world, the best MMA fighter in the world. That's when I'll be peak. When I've got the UFC belt and I've defended it, and I'm unbeaten, I'm #1 pound for pound. That's my goal.
Jimmy, how would you compare the British MMA scene as it stands? Obviously, it's grown a lot. How would you compare it to the American scene and the UFC in particular?
But listen, it's not far off. I don't think there's much difference in it. Like, everyone says, wrestling, this, that, and the other, but we've got better striking than most of the Americans. We've got more boxing and everything. They've just got more wrestling. I think we're more, I don't know, we're kind of like more exciting fighters, because we tend to like to stand up and bang more and everything. They tend to want to take you down and to control you and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, there's no like sort of way of, like, perfect way of fighting, because you win the fight if you take the person down and control them, but that's not necessarily what the fans want to see. So it's MMA, so you've got to be well-rounded in every aspect of the game.
It's going to be a big night in Nottingham. How excited are you to be fighting under the BAMMA banner?
Yeah, I'm excited to be fighting for them. They're a big organisation. They get international press and international opposition and everything. So yeah, I'm really excited, and especially to be headlining the show.
Well, we've got an interested person here, Nathan Weise, who's a light middleweight contender. Now, he's been listening to you. He's seen some chinks in your armour now. He's willing to do a few rounds with you.
Don't listen to them, man. They've been trying to set up fights all night with me. How you doing, champ?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Thanks.
Yeah, how's the training going?
Yeah, training's going well. I just finished my sprints.
Yeah.
I got grappling in about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just getting back to my peak.
I wish you all the best. I've got a big fight coming up on the 14th of December, so make sure you watch it. It's going to be on Box Nation. I'm fighting for the Southern Area light middleweight title. My name's Nathan Weise, so look out for me, man.
Wait, what, on Box Nation, yeah?
That's right, yeah. Channel 4, 5,
yeah,
6.
I've got that. I'm always recording fights on there.
All right,
yeah.
my man.
You just need to stay.
My friend's fighting this weekend at York Hall. Bethnal Green. He's a new heavyweight coming through. His name's Dillian White.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's going to be making some waves, definitely. So yeah.
Look out for him.
Just, you'll have to come down and bring them shiny belts with you as well, Jimmy. None of this messing around hiding in the old gym there. You've got to come down and meet and tell us a bit more about it. And also, yeah, we'll set up a few more fights with you. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
And just finally, before you go, tell us a little bit then. You came into MMA with no real mixed martial arts background, or you hadn't been an expert in one field or another, not in the field of boxing. How did it all actually start for you?
For me, well, it wasn't an accident, but I used to like just go to the gym and stuff like that. But I've always been good at fighting, like street fighting a little bit. But one of my friends like used to fight in cage rage. I went to see a couple of his fights, and like, I saw the fights over there, and I just wanted to have a go. But I didn't go into the amateurs or anything like that. I just told it. I had a couple of training sessions, and I said to him, just get me a fight. And then I had my first fight with about 3 weeks training. Beat the boy ground and pound, but then I stuck to it since then, and I fought every like 3 months after that, and I just improved as I went on. So it's just I think I was like a natural fighter really, and I tend to learn things really well. So yeah.
Well, listen, best of luck. It's going to be a huge event, obviously, in Nottingham. This big BAMMA event. All the best against the big Frenchman, Anthony Ray. I hope you do the business and come in and see us soon. Thank you very much indeed, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Well, there you are, MMA. We're going to be talking boxing again after the break. We're going to be talking a bit of Billy Joe Saunders. I know you've got a couple of stories to tell. You've been to see him. As our cameras, we've been down there as well. So just coming up after the break, we're going to wrap up all the action that we're looking forward to this weekend and a bit of Billy Joe Saunders chat. Welcome back to Sports Night Live. This, of course, is the fight show now. Danny, Nathan, we're moving on a little bit. We're talking about a fella you both know very well, Billy Joe Saunders. Now, first things first, we sent our cameras down to have a quick word with Billy at the Trad TKO gym.
This time next year, I want to be holding the British title, and I will be holding the British title, and you know, so it's onwards and upwards from there. Really, once you got that, you can defend it a few times, then you can take your picks, and you know, then you can make that next big step, which is probably European, and then you know, world.
There's been a lot of talk about your weight in terms of what your ideal fighting weight is. You sell the middleweight now. Do you think that's the one where?
Yeah, middleweight. I mean, I could do light middle, but you know, in this game you need to have a bit of power, and if you know your own self, if you haven't got power, it's boring to watch. Don't care how good of a boxer you are, but if you haven't got that little bit of power, people don't want to watch you. And at light middle, I'm not saying I wouldn't have any power. But I don't think I'll be, obviously I won't be as strong as what I am at middle, and you know, I'm only 22, so when I'm fighting for like titles, hopefully please God big titles, I'm going to be like 24, 25, and I'm going to be a big middleweight.
How far away do you think you are in terms of the, you know, the current middleweights around Darren Barker, Matthew Macklin, how far away do you think you are from being able to fight people like that?
Well, that's why I got me promoted for, like as well with Frank Warren. I mean, he's really good at judging when to fight and when not to fight. I think they're a good 2 year in front of me at the minute, you know what I mean? They're up there fighting for the titles and that, and you know, they're doing well at the weight, you know, and I suppose perhaps they're going to fight each other one day, you know, and I would love to see that fight be a good fight, but I'm not that far off them. I'm not, from skill wise, I'm not that, it's not a lot of in it, to be honest, but for experience wise, there is a lot in it. I mean, I'm still probably a year and a half, maybe even 2, just brighten them for the experience.
Who do you think would win between Barker and Macklin?
Barker.
Well, he's always good chat, isn't he, Billy Joe? You know, he's a confident lad. He's bright. He's articulate. You know, he likes to talk as well. But you know, you obviously know him well from the gym. What kind of a fella, and how high in this game do you think he can go?
I think he can go all the way, and I'm not just saying that. I mean, I watch him train. I train with him, and he's so dedicated. He's so focused. He's just natural, you know. He's got natural ability, and definitely, I think he can be a world champion. You know, I've sparred him. He's so awkward. He's so fast. He hits hard. You know, he's exciting to watch. You know what I mean? You talk about James DeGale. You talk about Frankie Gavin. I mean, he's up there with all of them. You know, I think next year he's going to be the one to watch.
It's a lively division, though. I mean, who is he ready to face almost after 11 fights now?
it's kind of hard to find the appropriate step up now because he's got an area title. The British champion Martin Murray's obviously out in Germany, hoping to wrest the WBA belt from Felix Sturm. So where's kind of the bridging gap fight? And I think what his promoters are doing well is that they're bringing over foreign opposition for him. The last one didn't go too far, which is more a testament to Billy Joe's talent and potential, I think, than it is any lack of quality on the imports part. But I think he'll fight a variety of foreign opposition, more experienced guys, maybe heavier guys, get used to the rounds, hopefully people that can take him longer and longer distances. That's the main thing. I mean, he's got the talent now, the ability's there. He was an Olympian, you know, at a very young age. So he's got the skill, but it's just a matter of getting to that stage where he's comfortable going 6, 8, 10 and eventually 12 rounds before he can fight for the British title. You know, it's not an ability gap.
Well, we've been joined on the Skype wall by Michael Farrow, who's watched that little clip of Billy Joe as well. You've heard the thoughts of Nathan and Danny. He's certainly one to keep our eye on. We know all about him in terms of the Olympics and everything else, but a very exciting middleweight.
Definitely. I personally would like to see, you know, kind of the weight sort of settle down, you know, because the thing is, when you're at this sort of level, when you're at a kind of a southern area type level, you're kind of jumping about in weight a bit. You know, I'd like to see them kind of, you know, is he possibly 6 pounds too heavy? You know, could he possibly make light middleweight as he goes up the kind of the levels, or is he going to kind of stay at middleweight? It's just, I think he's an exciting fighter, to be honest with you. You know, he's up there with, you don't want to see, I don't like using a phrase like this, but he's up there as one of our best prospects in the country. You know, it's just, it's hard trying to find opponents for fighters when they're coming up, because with boxing fans, it's always, you put the guy in front of him, he beats the guy, and then everyone's like, oh, he was no good in the first place, as the point was just made. So it's kind of, it's difficult, you know, because you go abroad, you get someone of quality abroad, they bring him over, or nobody's ever heard of him, or do you have him fight someone domestic, and then, you know, we've seen it so much. I mean, you know, like someone like George Groves, is he gonna, you know, I think he could possibly beat a brick wall, and then people would say, oh, the brick wall had a crack down it was very beatable there.
Well, the guy to ask really about moving down in weight would be you, Nathan. I mean, you know him, you
I would
spar him.
personally, I mean, I think he's a natural middleweight, you know, like he said, you move down the weight, you lose the power, and I think he's a natural middleweight. He's strong at the weight, you know, he's handling his opponents very well, you know, so I think there's no reason to move down the weight. No, definitely not.
I mean, I went to see him earlier this week. It must have been just under 3 weeks until his next fight on December the 19th. And he has to come in for that fight just over the middleweight limit, I think 11.9, 11.10. And he was 2 pounds over the weight, and he looked ripped, you know, he had a six-pack, there was no excess fat on him. You know, forgive the cheap plug, but you'll see the pictures, the evidence of his six-pack in the next Fighting Fit. But yeah, I mean, I think he is a natural middleweight. I think what a lot of people forget, he did look like he was carrying a bit of puppy fat earlier in his career. But he's still growing, you know, he's a very young man, he's still filling out into his frame, I think. So I think he will settle now at middleweight. I think, like we've said before, if you drain yourself down to a lighter weight, yeah, he could make it, and maybe he could make it healthily. But would he be at his most effective? Probably not, definitely. Especially in terms of punch power, and more importantly, durability.
Now, Michael, just while you're with us as well, give us your predictions for the big weekend of fight action, starting with Martin Murray, there's John Murray, there's also Cotto Margarito. I mean, there's so much to look forward to.
Yeah, the one I'm actually looking forward to is Cotto Margarito, because it's hard, because the whole situation is that with Cotto Margarito, my view is that last time it's completely open fight. You know, Cotto is a durable fighter. I personally felt earlier on in his career maybe he was slightly spoon-fed fighters, because, you know, he's got a massive inbuilt following, and, you know, Margarito, you know, it's like, the wounded animal is the most dangerous animal, isn't it? And he's been through so much. I mean, I was a big fan of Margarito earlier on in his career, but it's just, fundamentally, the guy cheated. And it's a shame now that kind of he's going to be tainted with that forever, because he was a very good fighter, and I think he still remains it, but it's just, it's a toss-up fight, and you don't know which way that's going to go. I mean, I'm really looking forward to that fight. I'd love to see, even though I said I've just called him a cheat, I'd love to see Margarito put it out. Just kind of, I've got that sort of devil in me, that's the sort of thing I love to see.
Happy Christmas to you too. You sending him a card, are you?
Redemption, you know, it's redemption.
Oh, well, Michael, thanks very much indeed. Now, listen, fellas, let's get down to business now, because we've got to all predict what's going to happen. But before we just do that, Steve O'Meara. There's a lot of hype about Steve O'Meara. This is the Southern title that you're going for. I mean, he went over, he sparred Floyd Mayweather, everyone knew about him. How are you going to tackle this one?
I mean, I'm just going to do pretty much the same as I always do, you know. He is a good fighter, but he's not special. He's not he's beatable, you know. He's got 2 losses on his record, and I don't think he's a massive puncher. He stopped 6 of his opponents, but you know, styles make fights, and I think I've got the perfect style to beat him. You know, I'm just gonna go in there, do what I do best, and just box, and I think it'll be good enough to beat him.
Well, it'll be certainly an interesting one. But Danny, John Murray, first and foremost, Brandon Rios. As brief as you can make this, yes or no?
No.
Martin Murray, yeah. Martin Murray, Felix Sturm.
Possibly. I mean, I'd edge towards Sturm, but I think Martin Murray's got a much better chance than John Murray.
Cotto or Margarito?
That's the toughest one of all. I'm inclined to think Cotto this time, but 50-50 fight.
Chisora, Helenius?
Helenius, probably points, possible late stoppage. Helenius looks like a comer. Chisora looks like a goer.
And finally, the domestic battle, Prince Aaron and Brian Rose?
I've got a sneaking feeling Brian Rose might just pull this one off. I don't know if the man next to me agrees with me. But.
No, definitely, yeah. He's a hungry fighter, and yeah, you know, I think he can do it. Definitely.
Nathan, it's been a pleasure having you. Best of luck with your preparations.
Thank you
Danny,
very
as
much.
always, a pleasure. Next week, we're going to be joined by Leon Williams and Tony Conquest as well. We're going to obviously dissect all the action and look ahead to what is coming up. It's always a busy week on Fight Week. Always the business, of course, on The Fight Show. This is The Fight Show. Thank you, Danny Flexen, Deputy Editor of Fighting Fit, and Nathan Weise, light middleweight contender. Thanks very much for your company. This is A Fight Show on Sports Tonight Live.